So today I'm going to talk about multiple product testing, right? And so multiple product testing can really take many different forms in RedJade, right? And so what I wanted to talk through today is some different testing methodologies that we have that may help you as you're trying to figure out what the best way is to test your products. And so for example, we have zipper merged, right? And if I go ahead and click on add questions, zipper merged is an attribute that is an option on a line scale that allows an individual to evaluate a group of products on the same line scale. So let's look at what that looks like really quickly. So here I evaluate the first product, the second product, the third product, and then I can move around those products on the scale. Now there's a couple different uses to this. One would be training for descriptive analysis. Another would be you're just curious about the products relative to each other and you want your users or your participants to be able to evaluate the products one right after the other on the same line scale so they can get that comparison, right? And you'll see you have different options. So if I click this use samples color and click preview, you can see now the samples have the color associated with the sample from the sample creation sheet. Okay, and you can move these around. Now these would have 3-digit codes during your actual test. Okay. So line scale previous is a little bit different from that. So on line scale previous, what happens is under the options screen, you have this option down here to show the previous sample answer. Now you'll notice that this questionnaire is a single sample questionnaire, meaning that the individuals will evaluate the products one at a time, right? What this does is this is going to show that previous answer on the line scale. It is not movable, but it will stay on the line. Okay, and again, you have the option to use sample colors or not. And I'm going to show that in a minute. I have to show that in an actual test. Okay. Building on that, we have show all previous. So what show all previous does, show all previous has an additional mark here where you see here, we instead of choosing the show previous sample answer button, we choose the show all previous sample answers button. Now what this will do is the first product will have a blank line scale, the first product evaluated. The second product evaluated will have one tick mark on that scale, the first product evaluated. Again, it is uneditable. It is just a reference point. The third product evaluated would have both the first product and the second product on the line scale. Okay, and we will take a look at that shortly. Again, we have to be in an actual test to look at that. There are two more options that are available with multiple samples. One is zipper. And so a zipper questionnaire, again, this is a multiple sample questionnaire. And you'll see here what I've done is I have enabled zipper. And you'll see that's a check mark under the options section. So what this is going to do is this is going to ask each question for each sample that I have associated with this questionnaire. And you'll see here that I've associated only sample A and sample B with this multiple samples questionnaire. Okay. So it's going to say, how much do you like or dislike this product? How much do you like or dislike this other product? How likely would you be to purchase this product? How likely would you be to purchase this other product? And you complete that for each product. And the 3-digit code will be listed on each question. And you can even do something like here, where you can input from a variable the sample code. So you can just click from variables underneath the RedJade library, click on the sample code and insert the sample code here. Okay, so you have some more options. And again, we'll show this in a second. The other way that multiple sample questionnaires are used are for ranking or preference, right? And you'll see that this is an after multiple samples questionnaire. And so it needs to be placed after a group of samples. What will happen is that the codes of the samples this questionnaire is attached to will show automatically in the order you evaluated them. Okay. The other multiple sample questionnaire would be a discrimination questionnaire. And so those questionnaire types, you would choose discrimination. And then we have a number of discrimination types that you can choose from. So let's just really quickly grab a triangle. And we can select 2 here and click submit. And you'll see now that we have our triangle test with the verbiage already included. Okay. So you can do that here. Okay. Any other questions there? So, well, you can't ask questions. I apologize. You're all on mute. A double triangle, you would just do a repetition for this triangle test. If you wanted to test other triangles, you would click the down arrow, edit the servings, and you can attach a different pair to the same triangle test. A double triangle would just be a repetition in design block. Okay, so the last step is our design block. So I've gone ahead here and created all this for you. Now you'll see that I have the line scale previous first, followed by the ranking after. Then I have the line scale show all previous. Then I have the, sorry, I forget what they go with. Then I have the zipper merged. And then I have the zipper questionnaire. So I'm just gonna go ahead, I'm not gonna put in the triangle testing, but from here, if I go ahead and launch my test, right? I'm gonna go ahead and copy this. I just made this an anonymous link. Anybody who wants to can play around with this link. Okay, so feel free, you can click that link. I would open it in an incognito window, especially for many of you who have probably registered your laptops to RedJade to do testing. Just open it in an incognito window. So here we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start our survey. I have a study participant agreement. I click I agree, and let's start walking through these. So this first one is not gonna be very exciting, right? It's just gonna show my sample evaluation. Now the next one, what it's gonna show is it's gonna show my previous sample on my line scale. Now here you can see I chose to use the colors just on one of them, which looks a little funny. But you'll see I can't move those, right? What I can do is put my next line scale relative to those products and click next. And now you'll see this next questionnaire will have the last sample I did, not the first sample. Okay, so it's just the previous sample. All right. And then my last questionnaire, ignore how terrible this is from a sensory point of view, but it was a ranking on descriptive analysis, right? So I can put the products in and ranking. And remember, this questionnaire was my ranking after samples, right? So that was in our design block, that was the ranking after linked to those 3 samples, okay? My next set of 3 questionnaires is going to be my show all previous sample answers. So here, let's try to do these so it's easy to tell where they are. I'll put all these early. Now those are gonna be first to the left of my questionnaire. And now let's put these high. Okay. Now you'll see my next sample You cannot do categorical scales like this. Only line scales allow you to do it this way. And click next. So I was able to show all of my previous line scales on that same line scale. The next step we are going to do is my zipper merged. So what this is going to be is this is going to be my zipper merged line scale where I rate all the products on the same line scale, right? So I can easily move them around. You can show the sample values if you wanted to here as well, okay? So you just click on the line scale, it tells you what sample you're rating. You can move it around, okay? So you can do that here. Same here, and this will treat these all as 3 different samples. So if you wanted to run descriptive analysis on the data when you're done, you absolutely can. All right, our next questionnaire is going to be zipper. So this is going to show the 2 samples twice, right? And so you'll see here, I decided to put the sample number in as well, but it automatically shows the sample number at the top of each question. Right now, you would probably want to put page instructions as well for your panelists. But you would rate each product. So you rate each product for question 1, each product for question 2, and next. Okay. And then at the end of my questionnaire, I decided to have a preference that was included on my questionnaire. So I just made this a page 2 on my questionnaire. Which of the following products do you prefer? And that is embedded in this with samples, multiple samples questionnaire. So from here, I can choose my preference, and then I decided to have 2 open ends. Which one did you, why did you prefer that sample? And what I did was I set up logic, and I said if I preferred sample A versus if I preferred sample B, and that will keep my open ends clean within the system. And so from here, I would just click next. And now I'm done with my survey. Okay. So if anybody wanted to play around with this, I will keep this survey open for a while. It is here. I will also post it on the support site. So RJD/multiple is the link. So surveys.redjade.net/RJD/multiple. And you can play around with those different types of scales that we showed. No, you can't switch the ranking left to right. I mean, the ranking is left to right, high to low. They're in the order. We actually have a whole ticket for making ranking with more options in the future. But for now, ranking is the way it is. There are no changes that you can make to that question. So today was one of our quicker webinars. I hope that you found it useful. Just one second, I will answer the other questions. I hope you found it useful. I see there's a couple of questions, so I'll go ahead and answer those. Anybody else, feel free to hang on. I'm not really unmuting anybody anymore. It never works out so well. Feel free to just send a chat message. I can unmute you individually if you'd like. So in the example shown with 3 samples, can you ask an all multiple paired preference? Do you mean, I think, Tina, that you were going to write me a question with what you mean. I'm not sure if you mean asking preference about all 3 samples, or if you mean asking A versus B, B versus C, and A versus C. There you go. So you can do that, but you would need to set it up a little bit differently, right? But you can ask that. You would just need to set up your preference with multiple preferences. So I wouldn't do it after multiple samples. I would do it separately. So what I would do is what she's asking is, can I do multiple paired comparisons with 3 samples, right? So A versus B, B versus C, A versus C. And so here, multiple paired, you would select multiple samples, right? And you can do it either with multiple samples or after. If you do it with, you can always skip sample entries, skip the sample entry mode if you wanted to as well. And then you would add the samples one at a time. So you had A versus B, A versus C, and B versus C. Okay, so you can add each one and click submit. And then in your questionnaire design, you would just go ahead and you would add from the multiple sample library, you would add preference, okay? And save. And then what will happen is when you get to the design block, if I go ahead and edit this, I would go ahead and I'd grab my other questionnaire I just created. That's because I have this one here. Let's get rid of. So I can't do it with this zipper merged here. But basically what would happen is I would add this to my design. I just have too many things in my design. You know, I can do it with 4, 5, and 6, right, Chris?
Yeah, or you can just create a new design right on the next tab.
Yeah, I'll just edit here. So I can do, instead I can remove these and I can do 4 verse 5, 4 verse 6, and 5 verse 6. Okay. So now, that should allow me to add it. It doesn't like that I tried to add multiple designs to the same design with multiple paired tests that way. So now it should work. So then I can, you know, throw these in the first position and you would do these first. Okay, so there's your multiple paired comparisons. And I skipped the sample entry validation, so they're just going to auto start each one of those 3. And now that is just added to the design. Now I wanted to show you one more thing. Last week we talked about importing the design into RedJade. So here's what that design, minus what I just added, here's what that design would look like to import into RedJade, right? So we have our individual sample questionnaires represented by 1, 2, and 3. We have our ranking after, which is what I named it, but this will allow you to import directly in here as well. Then we have our 4, 5, and 6 in a balanced block design. And then here you see this is our multiple samples with 1, 2, and 3, and you see they're just represented by a comma between each sample, okay? And then the last 2 we have were the preference test, and again, these are represented just by the comma between the 2 samples. Sorry, this is the zipper, but it's represented just by a comma between the 2 samples. And you'll notice that the import uses the sample identifiers, not the 3-digit codes. Okay. All right, any other questions? Well, thank you guys very much for your time. Hope everybody's getting back to work. And stay safe and healthy. We will talk to you next week. Thank you. Bye.